Hi everyone. So we are in video 4 now of our training series for VITA, and this training video is only going to look at the 1040 forms and schedules that you're going to see being used on our VITA returns. Okay, so that's all this one is going to be. It shouldn't take me very long to go through a lot of them, but there are a lot of them. Okay, so in this class, what we'll be seeing printed out is going to be either a Form 1040, which is a normal tax return for individuals, or what they call a 1040 SR. SR simply means senior, and it's just a very condensed version of the Form 1040 when really all they have is maybe Social Security benefit income or retirement income. It just really depends on their age. Normally, if both of the taxpayers are over 65 and they don't have a lot to their tax return, they're going to print out a simplified 1040 SR. But the nice thing about TaxSlayer is the system just does it for us, so we don't have to worry about any of that. Okay, so we're going to look at the 1040 first, both of its pages, and then I'm going to let you see what the instructions look. And you can go ahead and you can Google all of these forms and schedules. Just make sure you're getting the 2020 version here. So there are 3 numbered schedules. Okay, Schedule 1, so this is in addition to pages 1 and 2 of the 1040. Schedule 1 lists other income that's on the face of the 1040, and these things called adjustments. They're deductions. Okay. Schedule 2 is for any additional taxes that aren't on the main 1040. And Schedule 3, which is rarely used, is for any additional credits and payments that don't show up on page 2 of the 1040. Then you have a whole bunch of lettered schedules. The only schedule we don't do here in VITA is Schedule F for farming and ranching self-employed individuals. If someone has a Schedule F, we cannot do their return, period. Okay. Schedule A is for itemized deductions. Okay, we normally don't have a whole bunch of folks that itemize anymore, simply because the standard deduction is so high, they don't have enough expenses that are considered itemizable to exceed it. So most of our folks use the standard deduction. Okay, Schedule B is for interest and dividend income. Schedule C is for self-employed folks who are either sole proprietors or are single member LLCs for their income and expenses. Schedule D is for capital gains and losses, and Schedule E is for rents and royalties. Okay, so go ahead and get out of that guy there, and I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to pull up the 1040. Okay, so the 1040 basically has 2 pages. The first page is demographic in nature. Okay, so we check our filing status. We have all of our demographic information. We have who our dependents are, if anybody can claim us as a dependent. And then we have a lot of, we have the most common pieces of income. We have a place for adjustments and charitable contributions if we're using the standard deduction up to $300. Okay, and then we have what we call the AGI there. The standard are itemized if they have this thing called qualified business income deduction, and then taxable income is where the first page ends. Okay, taxable income is what's actually taxed out of the income of the taxpayer. Page 2 starts with the tax that was generated off of the taxable income. And then all the rest of the stuff is ways to take away from that tax. Okay, if they qualify for the child tax credit or the credit for other dependents. Okay, if they have any big amount of taxes that need to get added on, it's here. Okay, from Schedule 2 typically, and then they have a total tax number. They've got withholding in here. Okay, any estimated tax payment they might have made, and then we have our credits in here. And in the end, they have a refund, okay, or they have the amount that they owe. Most of the time, I would say probably 95% of our returns are in a refund status, okay. We do get the ones that owe, okay. Typically, they owe because they are self-employed, okay. So, but most of our returns are in refund status here. Okay, and then the taxpayer signs and puts their occupation in, and then all that fun stuff. Paid preparer use is for me for the VITA program. Okay, so you don't have to personally prepare anything that comes on. Okay, the instructions here. This is the instruction manual. You can go ahead and Google this. I will make sure that I actually get, shoot, I don't want that doing that. I don't know why it's doing that. Sorry. So the instructions are basically a good sized document that goes through every single line item on the tax return for every schedule and form that there is. Okay, so if you wanted to go ahead and look through this, you most definitely could. Here's the table of contents here. I'm not going to go through the instructions because you can do that on your own, and we can just kind of let that out there. But you can go ahead and Google this. I'll make sure that the instructions are actually put up on the on WIO courses. Normally we have a set of instructions that are that are sitting at the exam site as well, or at the exam site, at the VITA site as well. So that's all going to be available for you. Okay, so now what I wanted to do is kind of go through every schedule that I've had listed here, sans the Schedule F. I'm not going to have you guys look at that. I went ahead and uploaded it to WIO courses, but we don't deal with Schedule Fs here. So Schedule 1 is this guy. And basically it's for additional income that's not listed on the face of the 1040 and these things called adjustments or deductions that we take before we hit this thing called tax or AGI. Okay, so this is going to be if they have alimony, if they have business income or loss, we basically take the number from the Schedule C and we put it in here. Any other gains and losses, rents and royalties, things like that. Schedule F, farming income, and employment compensation goes here. And then any other that doesn't fit neatly into these categories goes here. Okay. Adjustments are simply deductions, ways to not tax income. Okay. Educator expenses, health savings accounts deductions, deductible portion of the self-employment tax, let's see, IRA contributions, things like that. The deduction that you get for that, student loan interest, all those things go here. And then the totals get put into the 1040. So if I go back to my 1040, you can see that it says other income from Schedule 1, line 9, okay, adjustments from Schedule 1, line 22, and then it has a separate line item for charitable contributions up to $300 if the standard deduction is used. So that's all there. Okay. So Schedule 1 is really simple. They're just one page, you know, and it's just a way to itemize things out a little bit better. Okay. Schedule 2 is for any additional taxes, like self-employment tax. That's the most common one that you see there. Any of these other ones are almost out of scope for us, so we really don't have to worry much about that particular schedule. Schedule 3 is for any additional credits and payments that we don't see on the face of the 1040. So the credit for child and dependent care expenses, that's a common one. So we do see that. Any education credits. The retirement savings contribution credit is a common one as well. And then other ones like the net premium tax credit that has to do with the marketplace and reductions in their insurance. Let's see, a lot of those, none of those really apply here. So Schedule 3 gets used a lot more than Schedule 2. So, but they all get used in some way, shape, or form depending on the client. Okay, Schedule A is for itemized deductions. Okay, so medical expenses, taxes, interest, gifts to charity. If the total of itemized deductions exceeds the standard deduction, then we don't have to use Schedule A. Okay, so that's just kind of the way that it is. So we don't use Schedule A much with this one. Okay. Schedule B is for interest and dividends. Okay, so interest goes here, dividends goes here, that's it. Okay, so these are automatically generated by taxpayer when numbers get put into these schedules, but I just kind of wanted to show you what they looked like. Schedule C is for self-employed, sole proprietors, or single-member LLCs. Okay, so it basically looks like an income statement and a balance sheet. You put all the demographic information in there. Their income goes here, and then their expenses go here in these nice little categories, and then profits, losses, things like that, it all goes in here. We don't deal with inventory in VITA, so you don't have to worry about that piece. We do deal with mileage a lot. So when I get to that part where I talk about business income, you'll see that there. And then any expenses that don't fit pretty in here, you can put them in other, and that other gets put into here on this line item. All right, Schedule D is for capital gains and losses. We don't get a lot of these, but we do get them. Okay, so normally what we see here, we input each capital gain and loss into the system, and then it generates summaries which get put into Schedule D. Okay, so that's Schedule D. And then the last one here, Schedule E, is for supplemental income and loss. Okay, so if you have rental real estate and royalties, they go here. Okay. And then back here is when you're dealing with income and loss from a partnership or an S corporation, which we normally don't do at all in VITA. So you really don't have to worry a whole lot about that stuff. But the rents are the big part here. We do have a couple of VITA taxpayers that come in and they're dealing with rental income. So that's a gist of a lot of the 1040 forms and schedules that you're going to see. Let me get in here. I'm going to go in here real quick and look at the 1040 SR so you can see what it looks like. So here's the 1040 SR, and it looks just like the other one, only a little bit bigger. Is this the 2020? This looks like the old one of old days. Okay, it's basically 4 pages here. Not a whole lot here because normally if they're filling out an SR, they don't have a whole lot of income and expenses. So it looks just like the 1040, only a couple of things are a little bit different. It's geared toward seniors, and 65 or older are considered seniors. Okay. All right, so that's that. If you have any questions, all of these you can Google easily. Just make sure you're getting the 2020 versions, and I've also posted these on YO courses.